You're talking to me.
Well, before I tell you this story that I learned when I was 7 years old, I'm going to tell you, I've been a fisherman all of my life since I was a little fella. And it's about a fisherman in the late afternoon. It starts out with sunset and evening shadows, and willows whisper on the shore, and whippoorwills their haunting music on the darkening meadow pour. Bright kingfisher near the ripple darts down for the day's last snack, and towering cliffs that bound the meadow catch his cry and fling it back. The good Lord in all his wisdom, when he made creation's plan, surely made this rustic playground for to please the fishermen. But the shadows growing longer tell me that it's getting late, and I then too late remember, holy smoke, I got a date. Quickly do I pack my tackle, hasten from this fairy dell, to the city where my loved one dwells, and wait to give me hell. I am 98 years of age, and I remember a story my father read from the Forest and Stream magazine when I was 7 years old. And it's titled, He Wanted to Run Wild. A pleasant man who owned a store, and though well-fed, well-dressed and warm, had said a dozen times or more, I'd like to get out in the storm and set my traps where beasts are feared, to live alone and raise a beard. A buyer's strike came on in time. He shut his shop up gleefully and started for the heights sublime, well laden with artillery. With grub and skis and traps and scents, methinks he wobbled as he went. Up in the pines where driven snow reveals the antics of the wild, our friend appeared quite tired and slow. His savage eye was meek and mild. He sniffed He slipped his pack, he sniffed the air, and thanked the Lord that he was there. Down snowy, stately aisles he went, to set his traps for fox and mink. He touched a limb well laden and bent, and the snow slid down his neck, I think. That night the coyotes yelped and trilled and sniffed the odors of the camp. Then, while the trapper's blood was chilled, a porcupine, a prickly scamp, climbed on his bed and smelled his breath and nearly scared the man to death. Our trapper man rose up and swore the pack rats fled to save their souls. He opened with his .44 and shot the dishpan full of holes, and nervous like he couldn't sleep. The mountain stillness was that deep. At break of day his hopes arose, and forth from his bed he jumped kerflop, and decked himself in frosty clothes, and crammed a hot cake down his crop. Now to my traps I must bestir, to garner in the precious fur. He never caught a single thing. His traps were sprung by magpie birds. Gadzooks, he made the welkin ring with ripping, snapping, naughty words that goes to show that men are prone to cuss and swear when all alone. Within a week, his hopes had died. He lost all interest in his meals. He sat beside the fire and sighed and rubbed the chilblains on his heels. His aching shins he used to grasp and chafe the chilblains with a rasp. One day he struck a soft, wet snow. His skis boiled up and weighed a ton. He lost 11 pounds or so. This rough wild life for him was done. He hiked back home and said, "Amen. I'll never yearn for that again." When mortal man becomes obsessed, doth greatly yearn to scalp and slay, please help the victim reach the west. There is no surer, better way. Dame Nature in her mountain haunts can give the savage all he wants.
Great.
I remember that for 90 years.
You're amazing, Mr. Brooks.